that right away. They take away Vox so that Misfits doesn't get a huge advantage in that lane matchup.
And Misfits has to feel good getting Glaive that lane.
Glaive, if King is going to play it, this is going to be our first time that we see him play that Glaive. I'm very excited to see what he can perform, but they could still flex it into the wrong position, maybe play Lyra in lane or something of that sort. You don't know what to expect with Misfits.
Would you want to see the cooldown Glaive here if it is a jungle Glaive?
Yeah, I would want, depending on what the comps, and I think that's what Misfits are thinking right now. Let's see Echo Fox's comp. Let's see what we need to pull out against them exactly, and then we can decide whether we want to go weapon power, whether we want to go cooldown Glaive.
All right, and as you see here, we're into the bonus time that is allowed in this double ban draft. As Echo Fox, they're thinking about what they're seeing, what the strengths are, and Echo Fox is a team that puts priority on Idris.
They do.
They mentioned this before the broadcast.
Yeah, they're the only team who actually do put priority on that character. I do expect Delphi to be running the jungle, which means that Adagio can still be flexed into either lane or captain, but I've seen Lone Delphi play that Idris. He plays it very effectively, especially during that mid-game phase where the chakra gets maxed out and he can deal so much damage with it. Really excited to do this pick out of Lone Delphi.
Chunking on that chakram is really something to see. We'll find out what happens there. And as the clock goes on, it's a Catherine, the first Catherine of the day.
So as we said, they did want to flex Adagio into the lane, Echo Fox. They're running Catherine, which is something that you actually don't see too much these days. Very interesting.
As the draft continues, you see Misfits, those players, that is King on your left, talking about the options available to them, trying to continue this run, and they opt for a Black Feather.
Black Feather, indeed. I'm trying to think about what they're doing with this.
What are they doing?
So, I mean, are they going to run a double melee carry comp, or are they going to put Lyra in the lane position? I'm not too quite sure, but I would say if you run a double melee comp, it's probably better into Echo Fox's comp since they have Adagio who's fairly immobile.
Specifically in this game. Because Lone Delphi is a playmaker. There are certain players who will play to a very high level, but it's very straightforward. I don't think you can ever predict exactly what Delphi's going to do.
That's a good point, actually. You know, he really does have that surprise potential. We saw that highlight reel clip of him earlier on. And very strong stuff on his lance. Maybe he can do something similar with the Idris. Idris is a hero that really does lend itself to that kind of play, right? You know, you've got a lot of mobility, you've got some invulnerability from your ultimate.
Oh yeah.
So if he finds the right opportunity, I think he could do some cool stuff here.
Yeah, he's going to be able to cause a lot of disruption in these fights. And you know, one of the other things our analyst mentioned was Cole the Meek on this Catherine. If you're able to land that blast trimmer onto a couple of these heroes for Misfits, that's going to be a huge impact. And with the chaos that Delphi brings, I think he'll be able to take advantage of that.
That's a good point. So looking at the game so far, nothing too crazy going on. Neither team, for example, trying to commit to an early fight. We did see Misfits make their way up to the lane and put a bit of pressure down, but they weren't really committing to anything, as I said before.
Well, let's get up close and personal here.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're talking about the early game for these teams, who has the edge, do you think?
It's kind of an awkward early game for both teams, actually. Black Feather really is not looking to accomplish too much. So if you're looking at just like a straight up who has maybe a small advantage, I'd say Mixie on this Adagio, especially if Cold Meek's able to find a nice stun, timed at the right opportunity. Also, one of the things to keep in mind on 2.2, Catherine a little bit stronger. I do like the way that she's been balanced.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. Catherine, very potent in my opinion as a hero to just shut down other people, right? You've got that Blast Tremor, which can completely cancel out a lot of the mobility that someone like a Black Feather has if you use it at the right time and chain it with your stun. Here comes the engagement, though. Cole the Meek looking to start something off. King, he needs to get out of here. One more attack.
He's going to burn down. He's going to take down.
Oh, it's not going to be enough. King just barely getting out of there, and actually now Illis wants to turn things around. He's Mixie finds the kill. Misfits for a third game, starting off strong. Now they need to be careful, though. Illis backs away under the turret. Man, what a crazy engagement.
And that's what we expect out of these teams right here.
Ooh, that chakram. Man.
You know, right after I was talking about the advantage that it feels like Mixie would have on the lane, immediately my mind did go to, well, Illust on this Glaive is going to make rotations, and depending on the positioning of that Adagio, it's actually relatively easy to get that kill if you're able to afterburn him back.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting, if Mixie had just found that one more basic attack, or if anyone had found one more basic attack, in fact, onto Illust, it would have been a different, sorry, onto King, it would have been a different story. So Misfits maybe just barely making that happen, but they did make it happen, and now they have that small advantage. What can they do with it here, Humanist? How can they find the pressure that they need to keep Equifax on the back foot?
Well, I do think it's a small advantage, like you said. It's almost, I don't want to say it's insignificant, but it's not the kind of advantage where it changes the way you're approaching the game. So that's pretty much straightforward. Right now, they want to just get last hits on King here. They want to allow Eco to go ahead and heal him up and provide a little bit of that protection.
Absolutely. So Misfits, they're still sitting by their turret here. Coldmeek wants more of these fights. King taking so much damage every time he comes to lane and just lands that stun. But Equifax are struggling to find enough of an opening to fully get the damage down there. Illis has got to be really careful getting caught out here. Just runs right through.
Yeah.
Peace,
I'm out of
guys.
here. Later. That's one of the beautiful things about the Afterburn and the Glaive. Like, a lot of times we see it as just this offensive tool. Go ahead and reposition your opponent. But oftentimes it allows you to just get out of a situation like that.
Absolutely. And Fountain's being picked up now for both teams. Equifax and Misfits doing quite well so far in the game. No one's really running away with it. Misfits, I mean, how important do you think it is here that they're so warmed up after those last two games? That's kind of what I'm wondering, because it feels as though their early game is getting more and more convincing, right?
It definitely does. And I think also, I mean, not just being warmed up, well, Illis looking for the engage onto Delphi here. Delphi's going to be able to get out of that one. It's also, you know, they're warmed up, but it's also confidence, right? Like, you just taken down a couple of the top teams, and so you're going into this one not wondering, like, hey, are we going to be able to stack up? But it's more like, look, let's keep this train rolling.
Illist is kind of making me laugh here. He's constantly on the other side of the enemy. He's constantly very extended, but he just doesn't seem to care because he's got Afterburn to get him out of most of these situations.
And what does that do, Jackson? It forces Cole and Delphi down to go ahead and respond, and that frees up the lane for King and Eco. And when Lyra has advantage in the lane, it's a huge deal.
Absolutely, and King doing a good job of farming so far. Also, although he's taking a lot of damage right now, just buying time for Illis to get nearby. Can they find a kill? Coldmeek, he's going to be able to back away, heal up a little bit with the Fountain. Eco's already popped his this time, so they're not going to be looking to make a crazy turnaround. Equifax, they're just going to back out.
Yeah, I'm starting to try and look at the builds here, and it looks like our Blackfeather will be going into a build where he's going to have a little bit more sustain. So his damage is going to ramp up over time, but he's going to need to probably get into that breaking point as his second item. Once that's up and running, they have a decent engagement. I think that's where you have to start to worry about the Blackfeather. Up to that point, you still do kind of have that advantage as Equifax.
Absolutely, and you can see, you know, I find it really interesting, actually, that King is able to farm so well into this Adagio. Obviously, there's been a lot of assistance with Illis coming out at just the right time. Coldmeek's been there more consistently, so it's surprising a little bit. Here comes the fight, though. King taking so much damage. Finally, Equifax gonna pick up a kill. Illis, he needs to get out of there as well. Equifax answering the early game plays from Misfits.
And the chakram damage is absolutely no joke, and Delphi just showing up.
Oh, Illis, he tries to get a little bit of poke damage back, and then Afterburns directly into the turret, forcing Eco to use that Fountain. I'm not sure Eco really wanted to use it just for that trade.
No, he didn't. You can see that Illis is just trying to keep this turret alive, and maybe if he didn't do that, that turret could be dead right now.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Illist is going to pick up a Treant as he makes his way back into the jungle. Should be able to sustain up a decent amount. But Equifax know that they've created enough space to go for the gold miner here.
Yeah, I really like the momentum that's starting to build up for Equifax here. The Idris is a hero. Like, if he has his first item, second item, and he's not really delayed, you can see the damage output already. It can become very scary later on.
Absolutely. Illist, let's talk about his build a little bit. He is going that cooldown reduction build that we've heard about at the analyst desk. Stormcrown looks like an aftershock maybe afterwards. I'm a bit worried, actually, for Equifax here. Mixi does not have tools to reposition. He's Adagio. If he goes down, it's all about lone Delphi, really, to keep him in this.
So there's a lot more control coming from Misfits if you look at the builds.
Uh-oh, King, he's in a bad spot here again. Lots of damage. Can use that Rose defense to back away. Eco on the front line, just trying to find a little bit of poke. And with those Chakrams keep coming out, you can see Equifax definitely feel like they have a good advantage. Maybe to push the turret here. Misfits, I don't know, what are they going to do? Are they going to be able to engage onto Mixi? That's the real question. Big silence that gives him a lot of time. Illis needs to get out of there. Here comes the burst, but Illis knocks him away. King, he's actually trying to fight, but with no backup from his team, he is going to be going down. Lone Delphi wants a little bit more. Chakram going to find the kill. Eco, he's going to be able to get out of here, but Misfits collapsing in that fight.
Yeah, Misfits making the wrong call there. I think they needed to exit out of that one. It's really tough, though. If you look at the Black Feather in that engagement, like, he made the call to go. Once he's decided to get on target, to get on top of Mixi, there's almost no way for him to get out of that.
Absolutely, and I feel like King needs to hold his horses a little bit here. You know, that play, maybe 10 minutes from now, different story with Black Feather.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know, you've got enough damage to make your lifesteal worth enough to keep you alive, but early in the game like this, especially without backup, without the Imperial Sigil, without, you know, maybe a stun on one of those targets from Illust, it's hard to make it happen. Here comes Delphi, though. He wants a little bit more eco, the main target. He's already down. No Fountain used. No Imperial Sigil used. King gonna fall also. Echo Fox really starting to build the momentum.
Yeah, Echo Fox, and I don't think so, Misfits. We are here for the win. These guys 5-1, 9 minutes in, they have complete control.
Wow, look at this. Kolamik even trying to go for Illust there under the turret. Echo Fox just don't care about Misfits and where they are on the map right now. They're the ones setting the pace, setting the tone of the game, and saying to Misfits, your run through the gauntlet ends right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, Delphi as a player, you could think of him as a very snowbally mindset type of guy, right? Like, if he knows he has advantage, he's going to keep running at you. Idris is the same kind of play style, so you have the player and the hero feeding into the same kind of deal.
Absolutely, and Delphi, you said we got to pay attention to him when this game kicked off.
Yep.
He's 2-0-3. It's an interesting pickup for the Echo Fox organization, actually. You know, we heard them talk about it a little bit on social media, and some commentators on the Vainglory scene talking about the fact that Delphi's kind of younger, a little bit more unproven in the top echelons of play.
Right.
But Koldamik and Mixi, they thought he could make it happen. We think he can probably make this fight happen as he jumps in. King super low, having to back away yet again. Illus getting crushed by Mixi's attacks.
Get out of that.
Man, Misfits just barely able to make it back. But honestly, Echo Fox, they're looking so convincing right now.
They really are. And the hardest thing for Misfits is like, okay, King gets up into the lane, and that's almost the only place that they can actually farm is when the lane is pushed in. But the moment he gets up there to start farming, you just have Delphi jump onto him with that Shimmer Strike. Like, what are you absolutely supposed to do?
Misfits, they actually peek their heads into their jungle here, and they might regret that as King moves forward, but immediately gets taken out. Mixi, he's going to find the turnaround. Actually lands the verse onto Eco, but no stun there. Eco yet again able to get away. His teammates already gone down. Things are not looking good. How do they come back into this one?
Well, get back to me in a couple minutes. I'll have to think about that. Honestly, it's going to be really tough. I think it will be, for them to come back into this game, Misfits are going to have to take an incredible play. Not only that, Echo Fox are going to have to simultaneously make mistakes.
I've got to agree with you. I feel like right now the big problem is you have a threat at every line of engagement, right? Every line of scrimmage. Mixi on the back line, if you can't get to him, well, you're not going to do so good. But at the same time, if you can't deal with Delphi on the front line, he's going to kill you too. The double threats coming out of Echo Fox are too much for King to deal with by himself. And speaking of King, he's in a bad position yet again. Mixi taking him out with Delphi. I don't know. This is rough.
Like,
Misfits, really.
Idris is such an elusive hero that, like, in that engagement, for a split second, my mind was like, is Delphi actually there? Oh, yeah, he's there, but Blackfeather's dead. Like, that's how fast things are developing on the map right now.
Absolutely. And now with Echo Fox having a minion wave backing them up, they've dealt with the sentry again. They're looking to maybe go for a third turret already at 12 minutes into this game. They have a lot of damage, but surprising to me, they're backing away. I thought they were going to commit to that one.
Yeah, well, you don't want to make a mistake right now. Breaking Point is out for King on this Black Feather. One of the things also that I think we should, is worth mentioning is he did go for that level 7 infusion, and that's one of the things that can actually, help you or hinder you, because if you don't actually want to fight after taking that infusion, if you don't stop some of these pushes, you're essentially just throwing gold down the toilet.
Yeah, that's a very good point. King, 0-5 right now with the Breaking Point and Serpent's Mask. I guess my question is, like, is that Breaking Point ever really going to be that valuable for him? You know, I feel like he doesn't last long enough in fights to even see stacks. I would have preferred maybe even just Desirably.
It's going to work for him if Echo Fox get caught out as 2 or as 1. If they're as 3 and you go into an engagement and they know where King is when that fight starts off, I don't see it having an impact.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, but the problem is for Misfits right now, I mean, Echo Fox, they're staying together, they're playing smart, they're playing safe. Illust, however, not safe. He's going to have to afterburn out of that one. As you can see the Chakrams and poke damage coming in a little bit from Echo Fox here. They've got another minion wave to work with. Turret already down to half health. Blast Tremor coming across. They want King right now. He's going to have to use that Rose offensive away. Illest goes down during the afterburn. Eco has no way to commit to this one.
Mixi's
going
to
to
take a ride.
Arcane Passage. Mixi accidentally like, oh, that could have gone
This
bad.
is not my healing platform.
All right, Mixi, though, he's turning it around by himself onto 2 members of Misfits, thinking about going in onto King and Eco. He's not going to commit forward. Echofox very disciplined here.
Super disciplined. But, you know, it goes back to having, you know, what Fuji brings to this team. Like, he's coaching these guys up. You have incredible players. They're led by this guy that has massive experience, game knowledge, but he's also teaching these kind of things like patience. Like, okay, you're winning a game. It feels like your opponent actually has no way back into the game. If you don't allow them back into the game, you win it, right? So you back up, you play safe, objective game.
All right, we got the No Wave Gauntlet now onto Cole the Meek as well. I feel like at this point it's just insult to injury. Eco, even if he gets those activatables off, has not been having the best fights. Might not be able to find that moving forwards. That's going to be a lot of damage onto Illest. He's going to afterburn over the wall. Delphi follows him, though. And now, with that Blast Tremor, there's a lot of room for Echo Fox to find more damage. They want this kill onto Eco. They get it. Echo Fox could be looking to end the game right here. Illest going to need to make something happen by himself in the next couple of seconds here. Actually, Fox, I mean, wow, again. I would say almost overly disciplined at this point.
Overly disciplined. You looking for the throw here?
I feel like they could have pushed for the win. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that's just my inner
you could have forced it,
out.
but let's look at this, right? Say you force that, and your team gets wiped. Now, what's about to spawn on the map here in a couple seconds? That's Kraken. So suddenly, you lose a fight. Misfits, who have been behind, get a Kraken. They march down. They take a couple turrets. That's not what you want. Echo Fox, they back up. Really disciplined plays.
Absolutely, and yeah, the Kraken is a good point, right? Misfits do have opportunities here, but it's all about Echo Fox in terms of these fights, and if they can keep them going like this, Misfits might be finally knocked out of the Gauntlet after winning 2 back-to-back games. Echo Fox with the opportunity then, if they do win it, to move forward and fight the final boss of the Super Evil Megacorp team later on. They have picked up the Kraken now. They got their eyes on the prize.
All right, guys. Well, this better be a glorious fight out of Misfits, or they're going to be in the loss column pretty soon here.
Absolutely. Eco did just pop a Crystal Infusion. It looks like King got himself a weapon one as well. They are only level 10s and level 11s on Misfits, so they don't even have all of their skill points fighting up against 3 level 12s with the Kraken, with the gold lead. It really is David and Goliath right now, as King does get the good dodge on the stun, trying to get onto the back line, but he's such low health, he can't find any basic attacks in that engagement. Illest shortly to follow yet again. Eco is just going to be standing on the sidelines watching his team go down. Echo Fox beat the so far unbeaten Misfits to move on to our next game.
Echo rocks. Misfits right here. Oh, man, what a game. It was almost flawless watching them play. They did everything perfectly. You saw Cole. One of the things I wanted to mention about Cole here on this Catherine I didn't get to while the game was going on. His captain of the guard, he was averaging about 2 stacks